now. Ali, good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, Andy. Just like everybody else, absolutely shocked with the news, mate. Absolutely shocked. I was in Glasgow myself this afternoon, in a meeting, and I came out, and you know, one of these things, your phone starts lighting up, going crazy, and you think there's something not right here. And that was certainly the case. In fact, the boss sent me a message, and I just, like everybody else, in a state of shock, really, Andy.
Ali, listen, we've been speaking to people since we've come on air, people that knew him well, people that maybe met him a few times, or even people that never met him, and everyone speaks exactly the same about just how much of a superstar, how much of a character and a personality he was, not just for cricket, but for sport as well. You would have met him a few times as well. What are your recollections, your memories of him?
Oh, Andy, man, it was a breath of fresh air, mate. When we spoke to him a couple of weeks ago, obviously about the documentary and all that stuff, the other things he was doing, it just, the horrible thing and the irony of the whole thing, he just seemed in a great place. He seemed happy. He seemed content with his life. He was talking about his kids, everything, you know. And I thought, and I spoke to him after, you know, away from the show. I had a chat with him just to thank him coming on the show and just to see how he was doing. And we had, you know, a good crack, and it just seemed in a great place. A great place. He was happy. Life was good. Life was fun. He was enjoying himself. And it's just absolutely tragic. I mean, John and all the guys will be absolutely. I've been listening to it non-stop, you boys, this afternoon, and the coverage has been. It's been tragic, but at the same time, it's been brilliant listening to Sean Udall, Mark Nicholas, you know, Harmy, all the guys, and they'll be better qualified by a mile to talk about his cricketing achievements than somebody like myself would. But as a cricket fan, and I know you and Benty were talking about there, as kind of non-cricket fans, I do. I love my cricket, Andy. I absolutely love my cricket. And Shane Warne is an absolute global superstar, mate. That transcended the sport. He just, you know, he epitomised everything that we love in our sport and super. You know, he was. I remember, for example, he came on. He was on Question of Sport, and excuse me. And by the way, we had everybody on that. You know, McEnroe, you name it, we had them all on it. But the buzz before that particular Sunday was incredible. I remember the guys all talking. You know, Warne's coming on this weekend. You know, it was, and I knew something special was happening this weekend because Warne was coming on the show, and he walked in, and you talk about, and I've heard the people say about people having an aura. He walked into that place and his smile lit up the room, man. I'm telling you, you know that way, he just comes in and the whole place lights up. He had a word for everybody. You know, he spoke to everybody. Him and I had a right batter at the green room a couple of times. We didn't leave we left that green room in some condition, I can tell you. But he was just a really fun guy to be around. Great fun to be around. And at a time like this, you're obviously just thinking about his family, man. Those children, you know, have lost their dad. It's just horrendous.
Ali, it's John Norman here. I actually mentioned you at the start of the show because, you know, the way that Shane Warne played the game reminded me a little bit of the way that you did when you used to, you know, I used to love watching you play football because when you scored a goal, it was none of that Alan Shearer stick an arm in the air business. It was like you celebrated like you had scored a goal in the way that we would celebrate scoring a goal in the playground. It was like, it was everything, you know, living in the moment, massive smile on the face, run to the crowd. That was Ali McCoist scoring goals. And that's how Shane Warne played cricket. You know, I was just telling Andy and Benty about him celebrating on the balcony, you know, with the stump. And just when you met him, did you kind of recognise in Shane that kind of kindred spirit in the way that you both played your sports with that almost like childlike enthusiasm that never, ever left you?
Well, I'll tell you, John, that's the nicest thing Andy said to me in a long time. So I'll tell you right now, Shane Warne was, as I said earlier, my first statement about him was he was a breath of fresh air, and I'll stand by it. You know, looking at him, watching him on television, watching him take wickets, watching him bat. He did everything to the limit. I mean, I'm not sure it might have been yourself at the court. He was rock and roll. I mean, he was absolutely magic for cricket, for the sport itself. You know, and as I say, globally. And it was interesting. I just read the piece there from the Barmy Army. You know, unbelievably respectful. And the irony of it all, John, I just literally read the tweet from Shane Warne regarding the passing of Rod Marsh, and I'm thinking to myself, it's just bizarre. It's just incredible we're talking like this. But you're right. He just lived life. I heard Mark speaking about him. He lived life to the full. You know, whether he gave everything 100%. Everything, whether it was his sport, you know, his fun off the field, everything was fantastic. And I watched him again. I was watching little pieces when I came in, because I knew he was coming in to talk about you, and it was amazing to think that he picked up the bat. That was the first thing he did. He picked up the bat before he picked up the ball, and it was amazing to think. But I just think there are very few people that pass in your life that you don't really know very well, but still have a major shock when you hear of their passing. And I think Shane Warne is doing that, and it's resonating with everybody up and down the country. And I think, guys, it says more about Shane Warne, the person, than it does about the cricketer. Because we all know he was a fantastic cricketer. We all know he took over 700 wickets. We all know, you know, he played at Hampshire, and he was down at Hampshire, and had a great period down in Hampshire. But what's coming out of the guys phoning up and the people that are tweeting in that have met him is Shane Warne, the person. And I think that's why everybody, more than any other reason, is in a complete state of shock.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you, Ali, was how are you going to remember him? Because it's really nice, as you said there, to hear that the people are not just speaking about, we know how much of a superb cricketer he was, but how much of a good person he was as well, as what's coming out today. Like, how will you remember him?
I'll tell you, Benji, I'll tell you exactly how I'll remember him. Clearly, you know, his cricketing achievements, you need to be a madman not to remember that ball against Gatting. Dear me. I mean, that's ridiculous. Every time you see it, it turns more. It's ridiculous. However, what I'll remember him was walking in the green room at Question of Sport when I met him for the first couple of times, you know, and we just shook hands and a cuddle, and then all of a sudden we've got a glass of wine and we're sitting there and we're putting the world to right. And then we're back in after the show having another couple of glasses of wine. And any time I met him after that, or we spoke on the phone, he was always the same, Benty. Always the same. Upbeat, full of optimism, loving life, looking forward to tomorrow, looking forward to today. And that's how I'll remember Shane Warne, mate.
Ali, listen, before I let you go, there's so much doom and gloom in the world, and even more so when you lose an absolute genius, not just in cricket, in sport. So if I see a tiny opportunity just to lighten the mood, I'll take it. People watching on YouTube will be able to see you now. What room are you in, and who's chosen that wallpaper behind you?
He gets hammered for that wallpaper.
Listen, that's savage. My wallpaper has been savaged by everybody that comes on talkSPORT in the morning, talkSPORT breakfast, Andy.
Yeah.
But you'll know better than me. They've put me in a position where I can't back down now. I can't change my wallpaper, mate, or I'll be given in to the masses.
Okay. Last question to you, does that room have a hot tap in?
If this wasn't going out on radio, I'd be letting you know, boy. Don't worry about that.
Ali, listen, it's lovely to hear that laugh again. Thank you so much for your... It can't be easy for anyone to come on air and talk about a legend, even more so when you've spent time with him and worked with him as well. I really appreciate your time here on talkSPORT, and we'll speak to you and hear from you in the near distant future. Thanks, Ali.
Pleasure, lads. All the very best. Sad day.